Hey guys, what's up? All right. It's Double Deuce back. Now, today we're going to go through some details of the new G52 V8 here, the Gangazoo V8, and some inlets, outlets, things I found out. If you guys seen, I beat the pants off this engine the last time. So I'm going to start it up again today. I tore it down, checked it out. The clickety-clack was a rocker arm that backed off. So, but you'll see something new in the back here I'm working on today. It's a clutch. So stay tuned. Grab your favorite beverage, smoke, popcorn, wherever they're doing. Hang out with me today, boys and girls. Later. So I'm going to fire it up for you guys just because it is just, I love this engine, I'm telling you. Now you see I got a new clutch on the back there. I'm testing it. So we're going to fire it up and... So, it's still alive, and I'm trying a new clutch on this thing. One of the simplest clutches I could find, and I bought this online actually for my L400 because it's lightweight. It has 3 shoes, and it's totally adjustable. Like, you can adjust the throw on these things, and you can change the springs on them too. Now what I did was, I thought to myself, you know, this is like the normal clutch that we get for our 5th scale cars, okay? And it's really heavy, it's really bulky, and it's just, I think it doesn't even engage until 6,000-7,000 RPMs. And I wanted something with lower RPM because this engine has a lot of torque. So anyways, I got this little clutch. It's an SCZ clutch that I modified to fit this thing. And instead of drilling 2 holes and putting this on there and all that crap, what I did was eliminate that heavy thing, and I put just a 3/8 bolt in the center hole. Tapped it in. So now we're going to pop this off here because I'll show you what I did. Now you see a washer on there because it lays against the head bolts here on the crankshaft, right? I tapped a 3/8 tap in the center hole so it would always be centered. Then I hacked off this clutch, actually for my L400, and I put a keyway in it because I wanted it to fit right over the crankshaft, but the cranks kept breaking on those things. So, you know, this clutch is it's like $65 for this clutch, but it's fully adjustable. Every shoe has an adjustment, so you can change the springs in them and everything else. I took out the heavy springs and I put in super light ones because I was going to retrofit this to my my V8, my Toyin V8, but I'm still playing with the springs. But simple thing, tap a 3/8 bolt right through the center. It is tight, guys, I'm telling you, it is super tight to get that in there. Lube your tap very well, go like 1/8 of a turn at a time and get it as far in as you can. Now, you're going to see that I had put a mark here on the flywheel because that mark actually lined up with this bolt on the top here because I did not know if this was a balanced flywheel or not, you know. So just to be safe, I removed these 4 hex head screws here, which were loose, by the way, because there was no Loctite on them. There is provisions in the crankshaft to put in more bolts, you know. I may tap those in the long run. My biggest concern was putting on a heavy clutch on this crankshaft when they haven't even tested it yet. What happens is you start destroying rods, you start destroying you know, anything rotating on the lower end. It starts coming apart because of the weight and the drag of this clutch. So I figured if you had a lightweight clutch with 3 simple shoes, I'll show you the clutch there. What I did was, it had a tripod on the back here. Now, I can't remember if this is for the B5 or the Roven. I don't remember. But I just cut it off, drilled the hole out a little bigger, retapped it. Now, it works fine with this engine. Now, I tap this, so the bolt goes in here. What I'll probably end up doing is getting a Allen head, a 3/8 Allen head screw. That's probably 1.25 inches long. Put it in there with Loctite, just like the Aussie V8, and screw this on there and tighten it up. Being that it turns this way counterclockwise, it'll always keep the clutch tight. So, a little Loctite, we should be fine. Unless something grenades in the motor, this thing's coming off fast. So, that's today's accomplishment. Now, let's go through the ins and outs of the pumps and whatnots. Now, you'll see I'm running a simple SC8 RTR 80 amp speed controller to start this thing. Starts every time. I'm using 14.8 volts with 2 banana plugs, because this came off my son. And I did I guess, you know, renegotiate with Ampro. So our Ovonic batteries now, they're going to pay attention. They had a changeover in the company, and I'll do a separate video on that. We've been going back and forth all week long on, you know, what happened. You know, the ball got dropped somewhere. It wasn't on my end, because every week, you guys know that I advertise for this company every week. And they fell short on coming through with stuff. Now, after the reconstruction of their company, they want to make it right for everybody. So if you didn't get your batteries you paid for, contact them and tell them I said that, you know, you need your stuff or a refund. Okay. Personally, I really like these batteries. I really do. These here are just a couple of garbage batteries that are blowing up that I use with the banana plugs, and I will change them out to the Ovonic batteries from Ampro with 1 battery. You see, so it's going to lighten this whole thing up here when I go. Now, the way I wired up my engine simple was one of these CDI units that we probably all have around the box somewhere, and I just simply put it into a servo tester. Okay, and from the servo tester I had wired in my fan for my radiator, which I wasn't running when this thing geysered off like Old Faithful there last my last video during the stress test. Woohoo! Look at that! Yeah, buddy! But anyways, I plugged this in. The fan works now. Everything's fine. Now, the cooling. Okay, this hose in the front here was actually fed back through the intake manifold. Both of them come out the back here, and when they both come out the back, you didn't know what was in, what was out. So You didn't know what was up, what was down. You know, little boy Boo's a big girl now. So what I did was I made the front line an exit because it kept kinking inside. This thing would kink when you tighten it up. So I just pulled this one out, ran it into the top of my radiator, okay, because this is my exit. Now my entrance comes from the bottom of the radiator to the overflow tank, and then from the bottom of the overflow tank, it'll come out to the outside nipple of the pump. That's your inlet. The inside nipple is your outlet. So the rear hose on the back here, like so, I just ran this directly into the pump, and you'll see the hose coming down underneath there. My hand out of the way there. Actually, I'll use my screwdriver. It comes out of the back right into the inner, next to the cylinder block nipple of this pump. Now I had a few problems with the pump. One, I had a lot of, I guess, metal debris coming out of this thing. So I don't know if it was too tight, or if it was just something that was a problem, and then it cleared itself up. You're going to see a lot of black in this here because when it geysed over, I was running antifreeze, but now I got water in it, but it just flushed it all out, and now everything seems fine. So I think everything needs to break in correctly. Now your fuel line, they already have a T on the top here. I'm using this tiny little tank here for the simple reason of I put a bigger one on it, not a big deal, but this one just is easier to carry when I'm impressing my friends at work. But the other problem that I had, and one of my other concerns, was the distributor cap on this thing was arcing. Move all my stuff out of the way here. It was arcing from this wire here right to the bolt. So what I did was I just took the bolt out and I put a little heat shrink tube on it, heated it up, and put it back in there again. So now it's not going to follow the ground side of the distributor, so it's not going to misfire. So all my leads here are working fine. Now I even took the cap off and tried to tighten this up a little bit, but it's still, still jump spark to this bolt. So kind of a bad idea to have the bolt right next to, your lead. I mean, it probably should be just, in the middle. But my other concern was, if you look at this engine, okay, we have an oil pump. Let me turn this around here so you guys can actually get a good glimpse of what's going on here, so you can maybe catch my explanation here. Oh, this thing is like so heavy, but I love it. But you'll see the oil pump is down here at the very bottom, right here, and I'll zoom in on it because I can't because of the way I got my camera angled. The bottom pan has a pulley on it down here. I'll move these wires out of the way and you'll see it down here. That's your oil pump. Now if you look at this pan, it's flat and then it curves up at the back. There's no baffles in this pan at all, none. And the way the oil gets pulled into the pan, it's not by the pump, it's by the oil filter, which is in the front too, over here, next to here. So if you have the correct amount of oil in here, which is 50 millimeters of oil, you should be okay. But when it's sitting there running static and you're not moving this thing around, it's fine. But what happens when we put this in like a RC car project or something, and we launch this thing hard? Where's the oil going to go? It's going to go to the back of the pan, here, there's no baffles in here to stop the oil. So it's going to starve. So that's my next, I guess, engineering venture, is to figure that out. But, like I say, if there's any other questions, comments, feel free to hit me up. I'm still playing with this engine, even though I tested a prototype, and I love it. I really love this engine. It is just a, you know, it's a breath of fresh air for us guys, because it's very forgiving. You can hammer this thing into no tomorrow and just change the oil and clean out your oil filter, put fresh oil in it, and do your thing. And it's just, you know, they haven't got the gearbox yet. There's a lot of things I have to contact Sterling Kit about. One was the gasoline conversion kit that I bought for, you know, the auto twin cylinder. That was like $138, I think I spent for that thing, and it came with no hole sensor bracket. But like I say, this here, so far, I love it. And when I get a clutch on here, I'm going to use this SCZ clutch that I converted. And the other thing that I haven't got to yet is, what clutch bell am I going to use? Okay, now one of these is the B5, you know, that will set on the back there, but we have to come up with an adapter plate for it to make it centered. And I believe this one was the Rovin, because it's all plastic. And they're two different flavors. This one has a notch behind the screw here, and the gear fits through the notch with a screw, like so. You see that? And the gear has just a notch here that fits in that way. So that could be, maybe, might, I don't know. The bearings are the same size. I might be able to switch the clutch bells. But this one has basically a hex in here that comes out, which would be easily adapted to because it has a nut threaded on the end. So if you don't want to use the gear, you can use that. See the hex on that? And the threaded nut. So, and the gear has a hex in it too. So you can, I think it would be easier to adapt this to a power shaft than it would be that one. But we'll find out. Here's what I did. I ordered a step down pipe from 4-inch to 3-inch. So it has a bell housing look to it. And my plan was to get the clutch retrofitted on here, which I did today, and then I'll figure out where this thing's going to set with the bell, and I will attach this to that. And I'll, you know, it's going to be a lot of metal fitting and welding and all that stuff, because they don't have a gearbox for this thing at all. I wish they would really come up with a gearbox for these as they design them, but they're kind of in a hurry to pump them out. And it's okay if you want a desktop toy, you know, or if you want a pencil sharpener, that's cool. But you know, you still have to adapt it to something. The desktop toy, you can just start up like this all day long, so it's going to run forever. But when you start putting a load on it with a clutch and a drivetrain, that's what I want to see, because that's where things start changing. And when things change, I don't know, guys, you know, could be scary, could be great. Now, the other thing I'm going to do with this engine, and I'm going to show you right now, I've had a lot of feedback on their valve cover setup. So this is what I'm going to do. Actually, this is the wrong side. The Hemi has two different valve covers. I'm going to retrofit this Hawk Hemi quarter scale valve cover to this. And it's just very simple. The cool thing is, on the nameplates, they have tapped holes. They got 4 on the bottom, 4 on the top. So you can put a piece of aluminum on there, flat piece of aluminum, and bolt it right to that. That'll give it enough air to roll through it to cool it off. But this is only plastic. And then I will bolt this to the aluminum plate. Then I will run my spark plug wires down in the holes, just like a Hemi. So this is what it's going to look like. You know what I'm saying? And this valve cover almost fits perfect on here. It's just a little bit longer than the valve cover on the engine itself. So I think it'll be okay. That way you got a true looking Chrysler Hemi, similar oil pan. The only thing is the oil pump's on the front, not on the side over here. And the oil filter's on that side, not over here. But I don't know. You tell me your thoughts, guys. Anyways, it's snowing out today, so I'm inside for a while. Maybe I'll just beat the farts out of my, my pants and shirts and do some laundry today and hang out and stay warm. So, all right, guys. Love to all. Like, share, subscribe if you want. Tell your friends. And like I said before, any questions, comments, feel free to hit me up. Later.